wondered how to take the dash cluster out of a Suzuki Sierra? I bet not, but today I am. So the things we want to fix today are the fuel gauge, because it's really inaccurate. The speedo, because that's also very inaccurate, because you can see where the needle is well below the zero. And the oil temp sensor, or the oil temp gauge, because that doesn't work one bit. So that's what we're going to be fixing today, and I'll show you how to get everything out and fix it. Before any of this, take your negative off the battery. All I have to do is undo this swing nut, pull the cable off, and we've disconnected the power from the car. Ground is off, so now we won't have power running through the car when we're pulling off all the plugs off the back of the tacho. So there's actually a fair few things that go into trying to get this whole dash cluster out. The first thing being is that you have to get the faceplate off. Now I've already taken it off, but the problem is you've got the hazard light switch here, which is in the way. The steering wheel normally sits up there, and you can see you wouldn't be able to get the faceplate past it. So your first issue is that. Now what you have to do to get that fixed is there's 4 bolts up underneath here that loosen the steering shaft. No, 2 bolts up there, so you got to undo those 2. And there's 4 bolts on the firewall that you got to loosen, so the steering shaft flops down enough so you can pull the faceplate over the switch. So once we've finished all doing that, we now have to get the actual dash cluster out. And you see it won't come out any further than this, because there's cables and all sorts of stuff on the back. So if you look in the sides here, there's 2 plugs on either side. Show them. So you can see there's 1 plug on that side, and there's the exact same on the other. So all we got to do is unclip those, and then the whole thing should pop out. And there's also a speedo cable up the very back there, if you can see it. It's out of focus, but that's probably going to have a bit of slack in it, so that can come off as well. There goes that first plug. Now the second one is a little bit trickier, a bit tighter in there, but there goes that one. And you can see the dash cluster just pulls up and out like that. Now to get the speedo cable off, you can see there is 4 little clips on here, and there's a little kind of groove. Pull those clips back and this thing will just pop off. Now it's a bit hard to do with only one hand, so I'm going to put the camera down and take that off and then show you what it's like after. So you can see the dash cluster is out now. That's what the back of it looks like. There's all these knobs, which seems like you can turn, but we'll see what they do. And then you've got inside the dashboard here. Now it is all dusty and messy. There's a few wires that have split, as you can see, but they're the 2 clips that come off, control all the lights, and there's the speedo cable. And I was actually wrong, there's only 3 little tabs, and if you just bend them all back, it should just pull off a little bit of force, but besides that, she comes off easily. Okay, so we're going to pull this kind of glass faceplate off. 1 screw. There's that piece. Back to the side, and you've got the faceplate here. Put that to the side and give that a clean later. So we're actually going to pull the back of the speedo out with these 2 screws here. There's one. There's the second one. So if we lift this up carefully, there's the speedo. Turn that back over. As you can see, it's just plastic mould really. There's the speedo there. So after a bit of looking around with it, to get the speedo needle right on the 0, if you look on the back, you see this little tiny sort of arm there, and if you look inside, it's hard to see, but when you do it you'll see there's like a little kind of notch on a clutch sort of thing in there, and all you need to do is push this down until your speedo is bang on. So I'll bring mine, just adjust it up a little bit, down a little bit. It's just very fiddly back and forth. I just got it perfect then. So what you need for this next bit to pull the middle gauges off is a 7mm socket, over this and just undo that there. Undo the next one, and they should be loose enough by hand. Just pull them up, put that aside. Don't lose any of these because it'll be very hard to find parts for this old dash cluster. And there goes that one, put that aside. Lift it up, pull her out, pull the other hardware off. So there's one normal washer and one spring washer on there. This normal washer doesn't want to come off, so I'm just going to leave it. Put that to the side again. Now I found the issue with the oil temp gauge. Now if you have a look on here, trace this back. That one there, down, down. Fourth one from the bottom. Ready? And we'll go into the car. And if we have a look at the fourth wire from the bottom on this plug, well, guess what? Someone's chopped it off and it doesn't go anywhere. Someone's chopped it off to go to another thing. Yeah, well, it's not very helpful for us, is it? So we're going to reconnect all this and make it work again. Next part, we're going to take the fuel gauge out. Same thing as before, except I think, yep, there's three little nuts and bolts this time. Lift it up carefully like before and pull that one to the side. Okay, so it took me a long bit of figuring out to try and get the fuel gauge to work, but it's pretty much the same as the speedo. There, I had a good look around it, and if you look in there, right there, you see there's sort of a hole with a tab in it, and there's some gearing inside. Kind of get a look at that. If you pull it whichever way, you'll work it out, but mine had to go, so that's upright, flip it around, it kind of had to go up, so I pushed it up and I got it to the right spot, almost bang on. So that's how you adjust the fuel gauge. Alright, so we'll chuck it back together now. Fuel gauge goes on the bottom, can't get it wrong. Oil temp gauge, actually that might need a bit of adjusting too, we'll just chuck her back in. Get the speedo, slot that back in like that. Now I've got the screws to go in, I might put that in last. I'll put the screws in for these two. Now get your two screws and just snug them in like that. Once again, not too tight because we don't want to strip anything. But there you go, it's all back together now. Okay, so to put it back in, you get your dash cluster, put a bit of grease if there's not quite enough on there, on the speedo cable and everything. Okay, put it in this way. Now plug the speedo cable in, pull it up. It's all in nice and snug now. Well, yeah, they're all right. Now we got to put the bottom bit on the steering wheel, but you know that's not actually part of this. But all the bolts, got to tighten the steering up, and got to put all the bottom plates back on, so it looks all neat. And it's all in there. How good is that? All the bottom bits are on, all looking a bit good. Now it's the test. I've got 20 litres of fuel, there's nothing in the tank, and we're going to put it in and start it up and see if everything works fine. Alright, I've set the camera up there, ignition's turned on, and we're going to see what happens. Now that's all in, and wow, it's seriously perfect. There's half a tank in there, and it's saying half a tank on it. That is really good. So that's good and all, but does the oil temp gauge work now? So I've got a bit of fuel in a tomato sauce bottle. We're going to pour that down the carby because there's none actually in the lines, and we'll turn it over and see what it does. So as you can see, it's getting up to temperature there. It's working, wasn't doing anything like that before. Fuel gauge seems to be a little bit, like, a lot off. So we'll be, I'll pull this out again and adjust that. But that's no big deal now that I know what to do. But I'm really quite happy with that. Fixed everything. Oil gauge is working. Idle might need a bit of adjusting. But everything's sitting bang on. So thanks for watching, and I'm real stoked.